If you clicked on this video, then you're probably wondering, what the heck is shadow work? I hear it all the time. This is a very common term when it comes to law of attraction. I know for me, I did my manifestation meditations and stuff like that for a long time before I started to really get into shadow work. And as a result of doing this shadow work, I was able to manifest so much more. When we only think positively and feel positively all the time, we really miss a key vital step. So in this video, we're going to talk all about what shadow work is, how to implement it into your life, and if you do so, you are going to notice a total transformation over the next few months. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Michaela, and I help people on their spiritual awakening journey. Shadow work basically is just identifying this negative belief pattern. These are negative, darker sides that maybe hold us back from the things that we're trying to manifest in our life. And even if we're not trying to manifest something, this is the thing that keeps us stuck in perpetual states, being depressed, feeling anxious. It's that negative side of us that, if we were able to release, would skyrocket us to a whole nother dimension. It can be a little bit scary when you're doing law of attraction to get into the negative too deep. They really push like feeling these positive emotions and to really feel happy and joyous and free all the time. But it's hard when we have that shadow self. And every one of us has that shadow self, but it's a matter of learning how we work, how we operate, and how we can really start to release this negative pattern that we may hold on to. The benefit of this is one, we no longer have to force ourselves to feel happy, positive, joyous. We actually are that vibrational state anyways. So when we start to release these emotions and these patterns, we naturally start to feel more happy. Who doesn't want something like that? Another benefit of shadow work is releasing trauma. As we start to identify these negative belief patterns, we can kind of start to get to the core root of why we actually might have a belief pattern. If dad left when you were younger, then you probably don't feel like you're good enough or you're important enough. Or if people always cut you off when you were younger, maybe you feel like your voice doesn't matter. And so when we start to identify these things and we start to release it, that's when we get to step into this newer, better version of ourselves. You start to become this person that you always dreamed of being, but had no idea you had the potential already within you. You just had to release that negative pattern or these negative beliefs that were holding you back all this time. The cool thing about shadow work is just like looking back and seeing like, I really was capable all along. I had these thoughts that I couldn't be a business owner. I couldn't be a good wife or a good mom. I wasn't deserving. And you start to step into this newer version of yourself and realize I was already all those things. I just had these negative patterns that were holding me back. So with shadow work, I like to journal. I like to see pen to paper exactly where I'm at, taking a true inventory of myself and where I'm at today. And then later on, we get to kind of assess who we want to become and see if those two things are aligning. So having it in pen to paper really makes it real. It shows you, this is where I'm at, this is what I resent, this is what I don't feel good about, I have fear about. And then you get to take that energy and you get to transform it into something different, into something positive. So it's a little bit different than what law of attraction says. They say to be very happy and joyful and everything else. It's going to be a little bit different, but feel okay with bringing all the crap to the front, because we're going to do something really special with it. Look at the results of what you're getting in your life. If you are not as financially abundant as you want to be, write down that result and write down the beliefs that all come along with that. If you're in a relationship that might not be as fulfilling, write it down. That's a result. The best way to see our shadow self is to look at our results around our life. And we have to learn to start to take responsibility. As a child, yes, we did not deserve maybe some of the things that happened to us. But here we are today, and as a direct result, we are responsible for exactly where our life is today. And when we start to take responsibility and realize that my life is a direct result of my actions, then we're able to actually change it. It's not as scary as we think it is by taking that responsibility, because in a sense, it brings that control back to us. When we start to realize that my life is the way it is only because of me, only because of I stay in a relationship that is toxic, or I stay in a work environment where it's toxic. It is purely because of my choices and my actions. When we start to realize that, it gives us the potential to change. If we are stuck in a job or a relationship that doesn't bring us fulfillment, we get the power and the choice to change it. And that's where shadow work comes in. Because then we have this voice that says, well, I'm never going to find a job or a partner that's going to treat me better. Or I'm never going to be able to feel happy because, that's just the way life is, right? All these negative beliefs come up, and that is the shadow work itself. So now you have all these negative beliefs that came up, and it's really time to ask yourself, where does this come from? Where does this come from? And a lot of times it comes from some conditioning we may have had in the past. If your dad left, if your mom left, if people made you feel less than, if you were bullied in school, so many horrible things can happen throughout all our lives, and that's what is keeping us stuck. And when we start to identify it and we start to write about it, that's where the true change comes in. Shadow work is really getting down to the nitty-gritty of why we do what we do. And it's that negative belief pattern. And when we start to realize that our caretakers, when we were growing up, were going through their own shit, and it had nothing to do with me. And starting to take responsibility for the way that we perceived things. It wasn't our fault the way that we perceived it at the time, but now it's our responsibility to perceive it in a different manner, to start to realize that my parents were dealing with shit when I was growing up. It had nothing to do with me. Maybe their parents died. Maybe they felt all alone. And so they did truly the best that they could have done with you at the time. But it had nothing to do with you at a core level. And that's what we really get to start tapping into. When we start to identify these negative belief patterns and exactly where they come from, then we can see exactly how it's transformed our life this far. So if you were bullied in school and it gave you this idea that fundamentally there's something wrong with me, then that's going to manifest in the rest of your life. If you think that there's something wrong with you, why would you go out and try another job? Because there's something wrong with you. Nobody else is going to like you, right? Or why would I try and date somebody else? Because there's something wrong with me. Or why would I go buy a house? I'm going to fuck it up anyways, right? It's all those negative belief patterns that are starting to come up. And when we're able to really get and dive deep into why we are the way we are, and we get to heal that inner child, that's when we no longer want to engage in those behaviors. When we start to see that that's my inner child coming out and that I don't really want to engage in this anymore, that's when real growth starts to happen. So now we know exactly these negative belief patterns that are holding us back. We know where it comes from and what the cost is. But what do we do from here? That's where visualizing and creating this new version of yourself is going to become really handy. What does this new version of yourself look like? Once you release this trauma, these negative belief patterns, what does it look like? Are you more light? Are you more free? Do you respond to relationships a lot better? Do you hold boundaries for yourself? And when you do those things, how is that going to look in the rest of your life? Are you going to be able to have a better career because of it? Are you going to be able to have healthier relationships? Be a better parent? Be a better friend, daughter, son? All these things can come out of doing shadow work. It's really identifying the issue and what can you do to constructively change it. Now we know the issue, but to really step into this new person is really scary. Courage is not about not feeling fear and doing something. Courage is all about feeling fear and doing it anyways. And as you start to take these actions that are contradictive to what you normally would do, it's gonna feel really freaking scary. You're gonna feel uncomfortable. You're gonna wanna go back to your normal self. But as you continue to push yourself forward and decide that today, this is the new version of myself, the universe is going to conspire to meet your needs. That's when real synchronicities start to happen. When you commit to not bowing down, not giving up, you visualize yourself, who you want to be, you start taking actions towards not being the old version of yourself, but instead the new version. The universe is going to give you all the tools to create and build the life that you want. Up until that point, it may give you little breadcrumbs, but it's not going to give you the full thing because you're meant to become so much more than you give yourself credit. See, we get these ideas that we're not enough, but really we are divine beings. We are so lit up from the inside, and it's all about unlocking that true potential. When you start to do the shadow work, you start to unlock your full potential of who you truly can become. Down below, I posted some journaling prompts so that way you guys can start to identify some of these negative belief patterns and start to embody this newer version of yourself. Make sure you guys subscribe and turn your notifications on because I'm going to be posting some meditations where you can really start to let go of some of these traumatic instances that keep you stuck, as well as visualizing this newer self and starting to embody this new version of you. Thank you so much for watching my video. If it was helpful, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. It helps the channel out. And I'll see you guys in one of my next videos. Bye.